Hello everyone and welcome to the Seaward webinar chapter 4. Within this webinar we're actually going to be going through and giving guidance on how to select the right PAT tester. As you'll all be aware, there's many options out there, and really this webinar is designed to sort of help point you in the right direction and consider features and tests that you may need to help aid you in the process of actually selecting the correct PAT tester. So to start off with then, all PAT testers will do the two basic tests. They'll all do earth continuity and the insulation resistance test. So that poses the question, why do some PAT testers cost a few £100 and others cost potentially over £1,000? So there are many different factors to consider when choosing the right tester for you. Take into consideration all the aspects that we're going to go through today, but of course do seek advice from Seaward or any of our distribution partners. More than happy to help guide you through the process. So when looking into PAT testing, if you're new to it or you're looking to maybe upgrade what you already have, we're going to go through a few items here that you may want to consider when going through your decision making process. One of the key factors, and something that's becoming very popular nowadays, is the actual facility to carry out the 250 volt insulation resistance test. So this comes in particularly useful if you're testing equipment that's electronic, it has electronic displays or electronic components, and on top of that as well you've got the surge protected leads. Your surge protected leads are designed to keep equipment safe that's plugged into it, primarily found a lot in office suites, so very common now. And again, if you try and shunt out a 500 volt insulation test, you could actually damage the surge protection device itself, and you'll get some nice weird and wonderful failure readings on your insulation resistance test. So really 250 volt nowadays I think should be a must have. More and more things in the workplace now are electronic. They could potentially be sensitive to higher voltages, and surge protected leads are becoming more and more common. Another area that you may wish to consider is obviously testing 110 volt equipment. Now, obviously a lot of 110 volt equipment, primarily tools and things, nowadays are becoming battery operated, but obviously there is still 110 volt equipment out there, again very common in construction sites and such. So all PAT testers with the 110 volt adapter will carry out mandatory tests on 110 volt equipment. But again, if you're looking to run the earth leakage test, the touch leakage test, and actually power the equipment up, then you will need that facility within the PAT tester. So again, something worth considering there. If you're repairing equipment, or in very commonly in the hire industry, where you may be carrying out a number of repairs on drills and things like that, is the flash test. Now the flash test itself isn't listed in the IET Code of Practice as a routine test. Flash testing on a routine basis, you can wear the appliance down, so it would typically only be carried out after a repair. So again, the facility of flash test, if you are carrying out repairs, if there's any documentation or any guidance notes or standards that you may be particularly applying to that mentions flash test, there are testers out there that actually still do have the flash test facility, and again it is quite common, as I say, in hire and any testing involved after repair. The introduction of RCDs now is becoming more and more. When you go into office environments, people using equipment outdoors, anything like that, distros, if you're in the sort of audio event broadcast industry, RCDs are becoming very common. So again, if you've got plug-in RCDs, RCD protected extension leads or anything like that, it is in the Code of Practice that you have to log the trip time of the RCD. So again, you'll need to facilitate that test in your instrument and when making your decision on maybe which one to go for. One of the sort of longer burning questions that always come about is obviously testing equipment with long leads. Obviously, some sort of the lower end manual PAT testers, if you're testing long leads and they have a preset limit of say 0.1 of an ohm, and anything that exceeds that will indicate a failure. Some, for instance, like the PrimeTest 100, PrimeTest 250, that sort of thing, will actually let you sort of make the judgment call on your earth reading, and you can reference the IET Code of Practice book depending on cross-section area and length of the cable, and actually what is indicating a failure on a tester could be a pass. So when looking at testing lots of long leads. You need the facility in the tester to enable you to override that decision and actually carry on with the tests, because as the competent person, you've made that educated decision. In more advanced equipment, obviously when testing long leads, you can pre-program test sequences with limits already set, factoring in length of leads. And for instance, with our Apollo PAT testers, you actually get a limit calculator built into the instrument. So should a lead fail, you can actually tell the instrument the cross-section area of the cable and the length, and it will calculate that new resistance for you. Again, nice and quick, simple, and it removes the need to reference the code of practice and work it out all yourself. The instrument will do it for you. Some other things to consider. Do you need to do main powered tests like phase earth current or touch leakage or anything like that? Again, very common if you can't really do an insulation test for whatever reason, or you feel that your insulation resistance readings aren't quite what they should be, then obviously there are testers available mid to higher range that you can actually plug into the mains and run the mains leakage tests. One of the big ones, and this is where the price bands start to change a bit, do you want to download your results or fill in by hand? Now again, if you're testing a number of appliances, even in excess of say 300, as little as 300, do you really want to be sat there filling in log sheets, tick sheets, or anything like that? By having a downloadable tester, it removes all the unnecessary paperwork. For however long it takes you to fill out each asset, you could probably have tested another one with a downloadable tester, and simply at the end of the day, or whenever you decide to do it, you can download to a software program, for instance like our PATGuard 3 software, and it's all automated. Your reports are all there. It can be done in minutes. So again, depending on the number of assets that you're testing, you may want to consider downloadable testers. If you've got half a dozen items, some cleaning equipment in a cupboard or something, then obviously a downloadable tester may be a bit overkill for you, and a simple, manual, quick and easy to use tester might be the better option for you. And as you go up the scale to the downloadable testers, you've then got the options of label printers and barcode scanning. Two massively favourable accessories to use, again, when you're doing volume testing. Do you want to sit there after the end of every appliance and write out a test label? Do you want to write out 1,000 of them the night before in your own time, ready for the next day? Again, the higher end testers, you can get Bluetooth, battery operated label printers that will simply just print a label out for you at the end of the test, ready to apply to the appliance. And it goes back similar to the filling out results by hand. Again, by the time you've written out all the details on the label and applied it to the appliance, you could be well on your way through the next asset. So speeding up the process. You then look at barcode scanners. Barcode scanners are fantastic when you're doing your retesting. Again, you're out on site, you've done all of your PAT testing, and then 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the line, it's all due again. Do you want to be duplicating everything you've been done the first time round? Do you want to have to key in all the information again, sites, locations, selecting your test programs, retest periods? Well, barcode scanning removes that need. Simply, if you're using 1D barcodes, so normal sort of standard 1D barcodes, you can upload data back to the tester, and then when you go around and do all your retesting, you simply scan the barcode and all your data's there. It's all ready to go. If it hasn't moved locations, just hit go and it will continue with the tests. We've also added the facility now in the new Plus versions of the Apollos on the 5 and the 600 with the Elite printer, Test and Tag Elite printer. We've now actually added 2D barcode scanning, QR barcode scanning. An excellent new feature now in that you don't even need to do the upload back into the instrument ready for your next tests. So you can simply go around with an empty tester, read the QR barcode, and all the settings for that particular appliance is stored within the barcode. Especially good if you've got a number of engineers testing at the same site, where you don't want to upload all the data into their instruments individually, and it may be that you've got many appliances, and you can't put all of them into the instrument upload memory because you just have too many. And again, you can't do it by chunks or site location because you don't know which engineer is going to come across which bit of kit. So the QR code scanning removes that barrier. You can simply, as I say, go out with an empty tester, scan, and away you go. One other area that we really sort of put high on the priority list and considered when developing the range of PAT testers is a lot of people out there, whether you're a contractor or doing in-house, will typically have other tasks, if you like, whilst out PAT testing. It's not your day-to-day role necessarily all day, every day. So a contractor might be added extra services they're looking to offer. In-house people in a facilities department or something like that may be carrying out other visual inspections or PPM that aren't actually electrical PAT tests. So again, we looked at that. So with the higher end testers in the Apollo 500 and 600 plus, we've now added the facility to actually customise your own inspection forms. So if you do anything like ladders, vehicle checks, Legionella inspections, fire extinguisher visual inspections, anything with a routine check, you can add into the instrument. They can be downloaded like any other electrical PAT appliance would be. And again, they can be uploaded for all your retesting to speed the process up. It's not just about the PAT tester now. So if you are carrying out all of these various tasks, then again, worth considering. To help along with the process as well, you know, nothing's better than a good visual aid. So we do have available, which I'm going to show you now, is the sort of guide to PAT testing flowchart. Now, obviously we can't put everything on there, it will be pages and pages long, but it's a good starting point. Yeah, you can follow the flowchart and you'll get into the area of maybe the products you like. And obviously at that point, you know, please do feel free to contact us or our local distribution partners, and they'd be more than happy, and we'd be more than happy to sort of guide you through the process, discuss your options available, and help you make that sort of final decision before investing money into a PAT testing system. So the range itself, primarily the easy way to look at it there is your PrimeTests consist of the PrimeTest 50, the 100, the 250 and the 250 plus. Your PrimeTest 50 up to your 250 are your manual testers. You can see there with the PrimeTest 50, you've got your checker right the way through to your 250 that covers all scenarios and tests within the code of practice. Your Apollos, then you go then into your downloadable range, and then obviously the Supernova ELITE, which is the that's 110 volt and the flash test. It is very important to point out at this point that Seaward's own ZAP technology. Now, you're probably wondering what ZAP technology is. All of our PAT testing range from the PrimeTest 50 right the way through to the Apollo 600 plus have ZAP technology. So what is it? The issue is low current or soft tests that are carried out by battery operated PAT testers when you do an earth continuity are susceptible to inaccurate and unreliable readings by the very nature of the low current test. So overcoming contact resistance caused by things like corrosion, limescale, dirt, paint, just to name a few, can be difficult, and the subsequent results may not give a good indication of the validity of the earth connections within the appliance under test. What's the solution? Seaward ZAP technology is the solution. So the ZAP technology spikes the test current without any damage caused to sensitive equipment at the start of the test for a very short period of time, to overcome the extra contact resistance and provide a good, accurate and reliable earth bomb reading. So if you are considering battery operated PAT testers, please do factor in the ZAP technology on Seaward's range, because it really does help. So just to give you a quick overview on the range, the PrimeTest 50, nice, simple, easy to use, one button operation. As you can see there on the picture on the right hand side, Class 1, Class 2 lead test. Couldn't be simpler. So it gives you a clear pass and fail indication with a tick or a cross. Obviously, with it being battery powered, it's mains free testing, so therefore very portable. We have actually had feedback from customers saying that the PrimeTest range will get in excess of 8,000-9,000 tests off one set. Extremely good battery power, long battery life. So we'll test all appliances and power cords. And again, as I mentioned earlier and explained a bit, it has the ZAP technology when carrying out earth continuity testing. We then move into the PrimeTest 100. As you can see, it looks very similar to the previous PrimeTest 50. So as well as all the features we've just gone through there, as you can see through the list, as the PrimeTest 50 with the long battery life, simple, easy to use, one button operation, the PrimeTest 100 now gets you into the realms of test results. So your PrimeTest 100 will actually give you your test readings and not just a pass or fail, tick or cross. And again, has the ZAP technology. Moving on then, you then get into your PrimeTest 250 Plus. So the PrimeTest 250 Plus sort of sits in the middle of being a manual only tester and a downloadable. So it's a semi-automated tester. So it keeps the ease of use with the one button operation. But within this tester, you do have memory that can store up to 999 tests. So it's an incremented asset ID number, but it will store and save your results. These results then can be downloaded to a PC via the CSV downloader, which obviously you can then produce your reports. And it also has the facility to print labels using the Test and Tag Pro serial printer. So again, it takes you that step further from being just a manual PAT tester. And again, that comes with the Seaward ZAP technology. The nice thing about the 250 Plus, as well as covering the mandatory test, then also gives you the test facilities that are mentioned in the IET Code of Practice and become very, very handy. We have, with the optional three-phase leakage adapter, you can carry out three-phase leakage tests. But the key ones here really are the 250 volt insulation test and the RCD test. So as mentioned earlier, surge protected sensitive equipment, plug-in RCDs, RC Protect extension leads are all covered with the 250 Plus. Still gives you a nice clear pass and fail indication with the long battery life, and is available as a bundle where you can use it with the CSV downloader and the Test and Tag Pro label serial printer. We then get into the Apollo PAT range. So within the Apollo PAT range, we have the 400 plus the 500 plus and the 600 plus. So starting off with the Apollo 400 plus then, again, it's a battery operated PAT tester. Now we're going into the realms of having QWERTY keyboards. So when you are looking to log information like site, locations, asset descriptions, rather than it being manual paperwork, it's all stored within the tester. They are very simple, easy to use, very quick. They've got a full comprehensive range of tests, and all of them have the facility for remote data transfer. So if you're in that situation where you've got engineers out on the road, you don't necessarily want them coming back, causing downtime where they're not testing, they can send the download files back using mobile devices, pairing up to their phones or with a memory stick. You've got the 600 to the iOS, and they can send download files back to base for reporting and issuing client certificates. They have the facility built in for point-to-point testing for fixed appliances. Again, 2012, the Code of Practice introduced fixed appliances. So hand dryers, air conditioning units, anything like that that's fixed in, still come under the PAT remit in the Code of Practice. Why go and spend extra money on a fixed installation tester when we have now built that into the Apollo series of PAT tests? You can Bluetooth download, obviously, to the mobile device back to base, and they also have the Apollo 400 USB download capability. It has a nice memory in there of 2,000 results, and again, like the PrimeTest range, it has Seaward's very own ZAP technology. We then go into the Apollo 500 Plus. So again, you can see there that all the same facilities of the 400, but we now start looking at extra features. So without going through all the ones that I've gone through on the Apollo 400, we're going to pick out the ones now that make the difference between that and the 500. So with the 500, you have the built-in electrical risk tools. So one of the big changes in the 4th edition Code of Practice was PATGuard is very much a risk assessment based process now, determining your frequencies of test. Now there is a table in the IT 4th edition Code of Practice that will give guidance on recommended retest frequencies. What we've done with the Apollo 500 there is added in the facility where you can very simply select a few scenarios and it will give you the recommended guidance on frequencies of test. With the Elite printer, obviously moving into the 500 plus now, you have the facility for your QR codes and your barcode. And again, something I mentioned earlier about speeding up the retesting. You can upload for retesting. So again, if you're not using the QR systems, you can still upload previous test data back into the instrument to make your retesting lightning quick. And it's to 500 now that you then look at the non-electrical appliances. So again, something I touched on earlier in the webinar is if you are looking to log non-electrical equipment and PPM or anything like that, your 500 upwards is the unit to do so. Again, with the ZAP technology, the next difference there you've got is obviously the result memory then gets bigger. The 400 has 2,000 results, your 500 then's going into 10,000. We then have the Apollo 600 Plus, the final top end in the Apollo range. Now again, as you can see there, very similar to the 500, but again I'll just go through the differences on what now gets introduced into the 600. One of the big things and feedback we get from our users and customers using the Apollo 600 is it has the built-in camera. Complete traceability for your visual inspections. So if you do get visual failures, you can capture an image of it, it will download with your results and you can produce reports with visual evidence. You can store multiple images with an asset. So again, if you're doing repairs with the images being time dated and stamped, you can actually show the before and after. The non-electrical appliances in the PPM, again, same as the 500, but you'll notice now that the storage capacity now goes up from 10,000 to 50,000 on the Apollo 600, so a bigger memory, and because you've got the camera, we'll also store up to 2,000 pictures. So again, very similar features to the 500, but with the introduction of more facilities. You then look at the firmware side of it. So what we've also built in the 600 now, along with the electrical sort of frequency of test calculator, if you like, is you can carry out your universal risk assessments. So again, as the competent people in PAT testing, it's your job to inform your colleagues or management team, or if you're a contractor, your customers, of any risks that are being imposed on site. It could be electrical, it could be non-electrical. A good example for an electrical risk is you may have a daisy chain of extension leads. They may all individually pass a PAT test, but collectively we shouldn't really be having daisy chains. So the risk assessment facility actually allows you to log, as you would a normal risk assessment form, actually fill in what the risk is, who might be harmed and how, any controls that are in place to minimise it, it might be none. And rather than looking at the HSE's website and big tables and calculating risks, you can simply select the impact and the probability, and the Apollo 600 will score that risk for you. And then we have the built-in health and safety reports. Again, when testing in-house or even as a contractor, it's very common that people will maybe have a contractor come in to do the 3 or 5 yearly electrical installation condition reports for the fixed wiring. But they will carry out, we come across the majority will carry out the annual fire alarm and emergency lighting certificates themselves in-house. So both those certificates are available within the Apollo 600. Then we have the final in the range is the Supernova ELITE. Your Supernova ELITE is a downloadable PAT tester. As you can see there, it's got a record capacity of 6,000 tests, but it's true dual voltage. It will do 110 and 240 volt run tests, as well as all your mandatory tests. Now what we mean by it's true dual true dual voltage, if I can get that out, it actually, you can power the PAT tester from 110 volt supply and run at 230 volts equipment and appliances when you're doing run tests, or vice versa. It's not a 110 in, 110 out, 230 in, 240 in, 240 out. It's a true dual voltage PAT tester. As you can see, because it's primarily used by constructions, hire, that sort of environment, of very heavy duty, rugged, nice tough PAT testers. So the Elite version covers all the PAT's requirements within the 4th edition code of practice. So it has your PAT test, has your RCD, it has your 250 volt insulation, and you do have the facility to upload and download test results as you would a full downloadable tester. So there are optional accessories you can use with the Supernova. You do have the desk test and tag printer for your label printing. Again, it's a very popular choice within the hire industry. And you can also use barcode scanners. CCD barcode scanners, again, for your retesting, because it has the upload facility there. So although it's a slightly bigger machine and rugged, designed perfectly for the environment it's to be used in, again, you still get the nice features of speeding up the retest and everything with your Supernova ELITE. And then, of course, with any downloadable PAT tester, you need software. So PATGuard 3 is an Microsoft Access based database with a PATGuard 3 front end. There's a full range of test reports available in PATGuard 3 for checklists, reminders of what's due for retest, concise reports of asset registers, detailed reports with results. But of course, again, if you're using the Apollo 5 or 600, you're doing things that are non-electrical. Not only will you give your full PAT reports and information, but you can also then use it for all your PPE recording and asset reports and your asset management. So it's fully automated. All the downloadable testers in the range will just download to PATGuard. There's zero manual entry. You haven't got to sit there for days or hours after a job or a PAT testing session adding things in. And of course, if you're using the Apollo 600s, the photos will be downloaded into the software. If you're not using the 600, you can still import photos for an asset using your mobile phone or smart device. The universal risk assessment tools for doing your universal risk assessments and the electrical risk assessment tool for determining frequencies of tests that are built into the Apollo 5 and 600s are also available in PATGuard. You can do exactly the same reports in PATGuard as you would do on your Apollo. Your fire alarm and emergency lighting site reports that's in the 600 are also available to use in the PATGuard 3 software, and your upload and download capability with all Seaward testers, historic and current. Exporting of results. People like to see things in CSV, they like to look at failure rates, produce graphs, maybe link with other asset systems they may be using. So you do have the facility within PATGuard 3 to export to the CSV. It is network compatible. It's not just a standalone piece of software. So if you want multiple access across the site, you want multiple people to be able to look at it and view data and print reports, it can be networked. That's part of the package. And we offer them in subscription for an annual license, but also is available on an outright purchase. So that sort of sums up the range and sort of guidance on picking the right PAT tester and things to consider. So thank you for joining us today on this webinar. I'd like to point out now that obviously social media channels, please do follow us. The webinars that you're listening to now is obviously recorded, but a lot of these we do live firsthand, giving you the opportunity to actually ask questions as you go along. Any events or workshops that we're doing, hands-on workshops, are all advertised through our social media. And obviously things like exhibitions and keeping the market up to date with industry news. So please do follow us on our social channels. I thank you again for taking the time to listen to the webinar.